Live for today, plan for tomorrow, and forget yesterday because it sucked. Straight up. And while we're talking about things for the future, don't eat your best bite last and save it for last, because if you do that, you get to eat your best bite cold. Eat it now, enjoy life, eat cake for breakfast. I am in the absolutely gorgeous Lisbon, Portugal. I mean, it is just magical here. Look around. This place is incredible. I'm on a beach. There's like ancient stuff up there. There's sailboats behind me over there. This is just an absolutely magical place. One of the most beautiful places I've ever been in the world. Fantastic here. All right, today we are going to talk about leadership styles. Not really styles, what makes a good leader, and everything that goes along with it. The first thing I want to point out, I'm trying to keep the sun behind the camera, sorry about that. A little hard to walk like that. First thing I want to point out, people who want to be a leader typically are people who got something to prove. Not everyone is cut out to be a leader. In fact, the majority of the world probably is not. In fact, the majority of the world follows kind of a lemming type of mentality, and that's okay. I know that sounds derogatory, it's not meant to be. Most people don't want to lead, they want to be told what to do. I'm going to tell you a real story, an experiment I did somewhere. And it'll prove my point. Or it kind of proved my point. At least I think it proves my point. Okay, I was once shopping and I overheard a couple. And this couple was trying to decide what kind of tomato sauce to buy. Holy cow, look at the size of this bird. What in the world? What are you? You're big. Wow, that thing's huge, and it's just like not even afraid of me at all. Look at this. Hello. Oh my God. So anyway, this couple was trying to decide what kind of tomato sauce to buy. Now back in the day when I did this experiment, which was about a decade ago, tomato sauce in New York never cost more than $3 or $4 a jar. Today, there's a lot of these luxury brands that have that. There was one brand called Rayo's that was selling $9 a jar tomato sauce. So figure, regardless of price, is 2.5 times the going rate for tomato sauce. Now Rayo's, if you know anything about the company, and you're from New York, and you've got a familiarity at East Harlem, which is a impoverished, low-income neighborhood in New York, you know that Rayo's is actually in a basement facility in East Harlem. It's like got this rent that's probably from 50 years ago, rent stabilized. It's like a hole-in-the-wall joint. But they built a brand that is considered an ultra-luxury brand that commands 2.5 times the price for their products relative to competing products. So I was with someone else and we kind of just caught each other's cues. And when this couple was trying to decide which tomato sauce, we started to play a game. We started to say out loud so they should hear it, do we need more Rayo's? I think we should get more Rayo's. How many jars do you think we need? And we were just playing it back and forth like we were going to buy this Rayo's for some ridiculous price that we're going to buy a whole bunch of jars. Now this couple looked really like a wealthy group, a wealthy type people. They were dressed well. Wow, that's pretty loud behind me. This couple, wow, this place is awesome. I love Portugal, man. This is nuts. So this couple looked like they were fairly well-to-do, but they also looked like they got something to prove. Like they were not exactly mildly dressed, you know, with all the gold rings and the diamond necklaces and all that stuff.
May I say hi?
Yeah, of course. Hi.
Hi.
What's going on here with the celebration?
It's a school and we are celebrating the carnival.
Which carnival?
I don't know which one, but
Estoy de Estados Unidos. I don't know this stuff.
Oh, okay. So basically, it's like it's a school that is studying arts, and this is a day where they
go to the streets.
Carnival.
Yeah, carnival. Like in Brazil.
Yay!
Like in Brazil.
But this is a art school.
Yeah, it's called Carnival.
¿Por qué escuela de costumes?
They made them by themselves.
Oh, you guys are on YouTube. Thanks. This place is crazy. I love it. All right, so where were we? Oh yeah, the Rayo's story. So this they look like they had what to prove. All right. So the next thing after we start playing this off, me and the person I was with about buying Rayo's, The wife says to the husband, well, I don't know which one to buy. Why don't we just get Rayo's? I kid you not, the experiment worked. Lock, stock, and two smoking barrels. It totally worked. Now, most people have this lemming behavior. The reality is, if just look at what people buy in a mass market commerce. Just look at the things that people buy that have no meaning. Sorry, I don't want to get hit by a trolley car crossing the street. So just look at the things that people buy. Some things people spend money on has absolutely no functional value or reason. People buy it. I mean, just if you want to go ancient ideology, look at the tie. The tie serves no functional value in clothing, and yet people buy it. But that's just a silly thing because it does look good. All right, but you could think of like vehicles that people spend a lot more money on than they're worth. Maserati, the brand, doesn't have a value to warrant its price point. As they don't do anything that you can't get out of other cars, but people buy them. Lots of cars are like that. Some cars are unique and like Tesla, and you can't get an alternative, fine. But other cars, you have 16 choices, why buy that one? All right, there's lots of things like that. Don't be a lemming, that's the bottom line. If you want to be a leader, you can't have a lemming mentality, you have to have a leadership mentality. So, okay, someone who makes their own rules, someone who's not afraid of repercussion, even if you're wrong, and there is repercussion. All right, if you think you're right at the time you make that choice, go for it. This is what it takes to be a leader. All right, when you are not afraid of repercussion, it changes your outlook on life. You get to live life to the fullest. Look at this, here I am in this incredible place, Lisbon. I jaywalk like I'm still in New York though, but that's the only problem. People don't do that here. Anyway, just look around, okay? The whole idea, the reason people can be not afraid of repercussion is in an intelligent way. I don't mean haphazard like a cowboy and just doing stupid stuff. I'm talking about taking financial risks, business risks, doing things in such a manner that takes you out of your comfort zone, but isn't stupid. I'm not talking about making stupid choices. Okay, I'm not talking like tattoo your face or something dumb like that. All right, I'm talking about things that are logical and seem like a good idea at the time. All right, starting this business, going out on a limb, doing something you didn't expect. What happens is when you this jaywalking thing is going to be a problem here. All right, what happens is when people who are true leaders and they start assessing whether they should or shouldn't do something, the logic is always, what is the worst that can happen? Figure out contingency plans. What happens if I do X, Y, Z? And it doesn't work. And it goes as bad as it could be. What is that contingency plan going to be? How am I going to fix whatever mistake I've made in such a way? This place is crazy. How am I going to fix whatever mistake I've made in such a way that it isn't so bad? So then it's worth putting on that risk. It's just that simple as that. What is the worst that can happen? And it's good to go through life like that. Figuring out what is the worst that can happen at every step you do, because it takes away a lot of fears. People have so many irrational fears. Like I'm talking about like psychological fears. Fear of spiders. Most spiders are harmless, by the way. You can let them crawl all you want on you. People have these irrational fears in this world. Just think, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, if you don't know that spiders are harmless, you're afraid of them biting you. But as soon as you learn that, you realize they're not actually harmful. Most of them, it's like 4 species of spiders out of thousands or something that are harmful. Anyway, besides, their teeth are only like this big. What are they going to really do? All right, silly, I'm just kidding around. All right, now, other aspects that make a solid leader, that make a person a style of leadership, most of it comes down to understanding people and the aspects that make people tick. The first thing to understand when trying to comprehend people as a whole, universally, is to understand the reality. People do not change. Most people, the way they are in grade school is exactly the same way they are going to be in their geriatric years. Seriously, personalities don't change very much in 99% of people, meaning there is a 1% that will do some kind of life-altering psychological adjustment, and there is that 1%, okay, that does mature beyond where they started. But the remaining 99% of the world does not change. So if you have an employee who is not performing up to par, either because they're lazy or because they've lost interest in work or they're burned out or they're sore over something and they're just a negative person, you can't change them. It's not going to happen. You can change who you employ. You cannot change the employee. It is not happening. You cannot change other people in general, be it professionally or in your personal life. It is a full-time job just changing yourself. You cannot expect to have any impact on changing someone else permanently. You might change them for a week or two. Okay, you could tell them something they want to hear so they keep their job and keep their mouth shut so they stop becoming a toxic employee. But you can guarantee it's going to revert as soon as they get too comfortable. That's just the way it is. Okay, they get too comfortable in their role and they lose that fear of being terminated, fired, or whatever else you said to them. You can be sure they are going to return to their behaviors before. If you don't like the way they are, you do not hire them or you do not keep them as employees. Good leadership also understands sometimes you're not in control to get rid of the people you have to work with. Okay, that's sometimes the reality, that you might have someone who's a toxic employee or coworker or someone on your team that you cannot get rid of. You don't have the authority to get rid of them, or they are the boss's, I don't know, wife or child or husband or son. It could be any reason, but sometimes you have to work with people you don't like. This is another aspect of good leadership style. In order to be a leader, you have to recognize that when people are not the people you want to be with, but you're stuck with, you got to figure out ways to make that work. Sometimes making that work could be completely minimizing their power, or yesing them, or doing all sorts of psychological tactics, yesing them and then doing what you want anyway. There's lots of psychological tactics you could do, but you have to be ready to endure that. And that's part of the aspect, that you have to be ready to endure what you don't want in life. In fact, suffering in general makes you more interesting. As terrible as that sounds, that is the reality of our world. The more you suffer and overcome it, the more interesting of a person you become. The people who grew up with silver spoon upbringings typically don't have that same depth of understanding of the way the world works. They could be very good people, very successful people. I'm not even at all belittling that. But if you've never suffered in your life, you just don't have the same perspective as those who do and those who have. It's just the reality of life. Look around, look how amazing this world is. This takes nothing more than the freedom to get up and come here. Lisbon, Portugal is not even an expensive destination. Anybody can do this. You just have to not have the fear of doing it, okay? I say anybody who has the ability to take off from work and get on an airplane and come here. Obviously that's not everybody, but if you're watching this video about leadership, it's probably you can do it. Because it doesn't take that much. This is not like going to Cannes, France, which is a very expensive destination, or Tokyo, Japan. Okay, I've been to Tokyo, man. That's not for the prices there are not for the faint of heart. But this is not. Anybody can come to this marvelous, amazing place here in Lisbon, Portugal. You just have to decide this is the path in life that you're going to take. Let's go back to talking about management styles and managing people. There's different kinds of people management styles. There's no such thing as a right or wrong answer. Some people take the approach of being the nice guy and becoming friends with the employees, and other people choose the tough guy, tough love approach. Whether you want to be the good cop or the bad cop or something altogether different, each one has different repercussions. Hold on, a little noise from the bella pasta over there. Each one of those things have different repercussions, whichever style you take. The nice guy is generally... Sorry, I'm stuck walking behind slow people. Can't walk at that pace. Alright, so the nice guy approach generally has hold on, this person's shouting behind me. Gotta get to a quieter spot. Alright. There are generally repercussions with either approach. The nice guy approach has the repercussion of being a pushover at times. You cannot maintain that nice guy approach if you employ people... Little kid almost walked under me. If you employ people... Wow, it's noisy here. I don't know what happened. Let the motorcycle go by. All right, you cannot maintain the nice guy approach if you have employees who want to take advantage of you. Okay, some employees are like that. Some people you hire, they see that nice guy and they see that as weakness. And if you try to buddy-buddy with them, they'll buddy-buddy back to you and say, sorry, my wife is sick today, I gotta take off. Tomorrow, he's got another excuse why he's gotta take off. Oh, I'm sorry, I showed up half an hour late to work today. I don't know what happened, it must have been my alarm clock. And they come up with excuses. The person who's the tough guy doesn't get those kind of excuses. They get other problems, but not that. That's the repercussions of being the nice guy leader. Now, if you are the tough guy leader, the tough leader, the one who doesn't really seem to care about his employees, you don't get excuses like that. People are afraid of you. However, the negative repercussions of that is lower team morale, usually. Sometimes people respect strength in leadership, even if you're the tough guy. Okay, General Patton in the U.S. Army was no pushover by any stretch of the imagination, and he was one of the most well-respected military leaders of United States history. All right, General Patton took nothing from nobody. You know, that's one heck of a leader. So different styles for different situations are best fit. And the truth is, most people feel like one of those two opposite ends of the spectrum is more befitting to them, but you'd be surprised how easy it is to switch roles. I know personally, okay, I have organizations where I've taken both or in the same scenario, just depending on who I'm interacting with. I do a lot of nonprofit philanthropic work, okay? Sometimes I gotta be the bad cop, sometimes I get to be the good one. It's just the way it works, because depending on who you're interacting with and what role they play and what the elements of respect demanded are. In other words, if you're working with people who you respect very much, you never take a bad cop approach. So that would be completely the wrong thing. It's important to give respect as it's due, and that includes recognizing sometimes the other person doesn't need to be bossed around. When you micromanage people who demand respect, meaning people who are very well deep into their career or have deep knowledge and expertise on something, and you micromanage them, you're guaranteed to lose them as your allies. Nothing aggravates someone more than someone who's built up industry expertise or intellectualism or proof of their lifelong endeavors, and then someone who's less experienced comes along and starts telling them what to do. Oh, this guy's talking on the phone next to me. And some guy with less experience comes along and starts telling them what to do because they're in a higher position of authority for that project. Nothing will break someone's spirit like that. You don't want to be that person unless you're intending to fail in your career. You want to make sure that whoever it is that you are leading and managing, who your direct reports are, that your approach with them is befitting for that person. Because if you belittle that person and pretend to know more when you clearly don't, or you think you do, but they think you don't, it's not going to end well, okay? And when I say not end well, I mean something is going to go sour there. Now, anyone who's got substantial life experience managing people, meaning this is not your first or second time out with it, you've got years of experience managing people, you know what I'm talking about. You gotta take a different management style with each person you're working with. If you take the same style across the board, then you better have the same style of employee, which never happens, by the way. This is theoretical, okay? Because if you have different people, they have different issues. Some people don't do well with criticism. Some people, the constructive criticism has to be given in a very delicate manner. I don't think I'm going to manage those steps while carrying this camera out there. I'm going to go back the other way. Some people, the constructive criticism has to be done very delicately, and other ones, if you give it anything but very harsh, they won't do it. They won't listen to you. So what I mean by that is, you can have one employee and you tell them, man, your work is lacking. You haven't been putting through. Why are you not keeping up with the deadlines that we are set? And that's enough. And they will take that to heart and actually fix it. And you have other employees, you have to basically say, dude, we got deadlines. You got to meet them in order to keep this roll. Simple as that, okay? That cute little dog tied up over there. All right, so basically different approach for different people. And you got to learn to read people. That's actually one of the challenges of management, is reading people, okay? If you have to learn how to understand the psychology of the different people you manage in order to be a good leader. Now, you yourself have to also understand yourself to be a good leader, because frankly, most people walk around this world and they don't do self-assessment and they don't realize what's totally obvious to the rest of the world about themselves. So it's important also to have people you trust in your circle Okay, now it doesn't have to be people you work with. It could be someone you collaborate with or someone you just know at a personal level. But someone in your world has to feel the psychological safety to be able to tell you what you did was not the right thing, or this is how you should have acted, because you got to get that feedback from someone at a professional level, someone who sees your professional world. Not talking about a family member who you don't work with, unless you do work with them, that's okay. Someone has to watch your management style and be comfortable telling you that was not the right thing for that employee. Okay? I have people I've worked with who've done that. People who I've built trust with, who I feel are very valuable to me on my team, and over the years have said to me things like, that person is, you're making the wrong choice about him. All right, he's good when you think he's not, or he's not good and I think he is, or whatever, or that person's gonna let you down, I'm pretty certain of it. They could tell me whatever it is. They could say that I chose to take the wrong approach with people, and if it's someone you trust, you believe them. That's important to have that type of person. In my mind right now, I know who I'm thinking of, but you're gonna have to find your own like that. Someone who you feel comfortable with, who's gonna tell you when you do things wrong so you learn from them. And you have to be humble enough to understand that no matter how good you think you are, there's always room for improvement. The best sports players, musicians, and other worldwide professionals around the world all have coaches. All have coaches. Okay, I don't know who the coach of Beethoven or Mozart was, but I'm sure they had him. So a lot of years ago. All right, everybody has someone in this world who could tell them how to do better. That's really what it is. That person who tells them doesn't necessarily have to be better than you. They just have to understand you better than you can understand yourself, because they're looking at it from an external perspective. Look at these beautiful little birds walking around. They're not really that afraid of me either. I don't know why the birds have no fear in Lisbon, Portugal, but they don't. They're very cute, and they're not flying away. All right, the seagulls, whatever they are. Okay, so bottom line is, to be a good leader, you got to learn to understand people. It really helps if you understand yourself, and if you've experienced difficulties enough in your life to gain that worldly perspective. Mind you, there's other ways to gain worldly perspective. So if you are that person with the silver spoon upbringing who I referred to before, God bless you for being lucky, you know, really. But you could do things to gain that perspective otherwise. Travel is one of the best things. You see different experiences and the way people live, that's just amazing. I've been to countries where people live with so little. Things you completely take for granted they don't have. It's not even available to them. Like no money in the world is gonna buy it. Crazy stuff you take for granted, like Q-tips for your ears. Believe it or not, that's not a worldwide thing. Seriously. Like little things you don't realize that you take advantage of. I mean, obviously if you're a country that doesn't have them, then you do know. But most Americans have no clue how easy life in Estados Unidos, United States is. It's much easier than the rest of the world that I've been to anyway. Okay, so I got a jaywalk. I'm tired of waiting for this. I let a whole bunch of people jaywalk too. Look at that. All right, so the whole point is you gotta have a worldly perspective. You gotta be aware of who you're managing and tailor your style to them. You cannot be a lemming. You have to lead because you want that, because you crave that, because every part of you has this urge to walk your own direction and not be told what to do. Because most people really want to be told what to do. It's a psychological safety net to be told what to do. You don't have to think for yourself. And if you make if it is a mistake what you're doing, you have whom to blame. This is how the majority of the world works. That's totally okay, but it's not a leadership style. It's a style of someone who follows, and that's completely okay. Wow, I don't know where I just walked to, but it's amazing. Beautiful architecture. Okay, Lisbon is easily one of the most beautiful places I've visited on the planet, literally. And it's also one of the least expensive places to travel to if you're coming from the United States. Let's see, wow. Wow. For those who can't read Portuguese, that says, that is a memorial to the Jewish victims of intolerance and fanatic religion assassinated by massacre in the year 1506. So, anyway, yeah, Lisbon's got some crazy history, man. Spanish Inquisition and all that. Alright, anyway, I absolutely love this place. It's marvelous. And I didn't want to end on a somber note, man, but that memorial, I didn't even know it existed here. So, all right, thank you all for watching. Please share this. Come to Lisbon. It is one of the most glorious, incredible places I've ever been in my life. Look at this street I'm about to walk down. It just gets better. I mean, I was on the beach at the beginning of this video. Just think about that. All right, come to Lisbon. You got to. You gots to. All right, share this video if you liked it. If you don't like it, please share it anyway, because hopefully someone else will like it. And thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the time you spend watching my videos, because I know you don't get that back. Anyone who's into leadership understands that time is the one element in this world that no money in the world can replace. So use your time wisely, live life to the fullest, come out to places like Lisbon, eat your best bite first, because otherwise you're gonna eat your best bite cold. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.